Today we are going to talk about the yoga of Pythagoras. What do we know about him? For the majority of people, Pythagoras is known as a mathematician, but he was also a great philosopher, a great esotericist, a great spiritual practitioner, and a great spiritual master who significantly influenced the development of spirituality at the time when he was incarnated on the earth. And his last incarnation was about 570 to 500 BC. He and his followers were strict vegetarians. In the town of Croton, located in southern Italy, it was a part of Greece at the time. He founded a philosophical religious brotherhood, which became widespread with time. The purpose of the Pythagorean Brotherhood was to impart spiritual knowledge from God to people. The Brotherhood was a monastic community consisting of both men and women who regarded Pythagoras as an incarnation of God, and it was so indeed. Pythagoras really was a divine messenger. Pythagoras composed works on philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and music. He knew about the sphericity of the earth and that inside the earth there is the central fire. We talked about this central fire in our conversations about the yoga of Atlanteans. This is also the case in Agni Yoga. And it is true. There is a certain component of our multidimensional planet which is very close by its state to the state of the Creator, the primordial consciousness. This part of our planet is like a doorway to the abode of the Creator. At a certain stage of our development in mastering the art of meditation, this is very important for us. At present, Pythagoras also works with people who are incarnated on the earth. We had many significant conversations with him and with his disciples. At present, he supervises the area of the Mediterranean Sea and its coast. Pythagoras was born on the island of Samos in the Aegean Sea. His birth was predicted. Through a prophet, God told the parents about the birth of a boy who would grow and become glorious thanks to his wisdom, beauty, and great deeds to the glory of God. From childhood, Pythagoras displayed abilities and interest in philosophy and other sciences. He studied from famous scholars of that time. He learned not only philosophy, but also music and painting. Then he continued his religious education in Egypt, which was very important because Egypt preserved the knowledge of the divine Atlanteans after Atlantis sunk into the ocean. Then he went to Persia, where he continued studying mystical knowledge. At a mature age, Pythagoras founded his spiritual school in the city of Croton. We know about the work of this school from stories narrated by several great disciples of Pythagoras. You can find this material in our book, Classics of Spiritual Philosophy and the Present. And now let us become acquainted with a translation of the ancient text, Golden Verses of Pythagoras. Which was studied by beginner students in his school. Remember about the law of cause and effect in your life. You are given the ability to overcome your passions. Greed, laziness, lust, and anger. Use it and restrain yourself. Do nothing shameful, neither in the presence of others, nor when you are alone. Preserve your honor. Practice justice in your words and deeds. Follow the dictates of the mind and the law. Remember that all people are destined to die. Remember that the earthly boons can be easily given to people, and so easily they can be taken from them. As for the misfortunes that are sent to people according to their destinies, you have to endure them patiently. Strive nevertheless to alleviate them as much as you can. And remember that the immortal gods never send to people trials above their strengths. There are many possibilities people can choose from. There are bad and there are good ones. So look carefully and choose for yourself the noble path. Heed to what I'm going to tell you. Do not let deeds and thoughts of other people confuse you. Let them not prompt you to do or say anything evil. Listen to others' advice and think yourself. Only fools act thoughtlessly, without consideration. Do not do anything that will make you feel ashamed and remorseful. Do not neglect the health of your body. Give to the body food, drink, and exercise in measure, so that it will strengthen, and know not surfeit and slumber. Keep your life in order. Abandon any luxury, for it can make other people envious. Be afraid of becoming a stingy person, but fear also to squander goods like careless people do. Do only that which will not lead you to destruction. Therefore, before acting, deliberate on your every step and deed. Standing firmly on this path, you will know everything about the immortal gods. You will also know about people, about the difference between them, about the one who contains them in himself, being their foundation. You will know that the entire universe is a single whole, and that in the eternal there is no dead matter. Having known this, you will make no mistakes, for nothing will be hidden from you. You will know also that people themselves cause their calamities due to ignorance. They are free in choosing their destinies. Woe to them! In their blindness, they do not see that the desired happiness resides in them, in their own depths.
Очень немного меж нами тех, кто могут сбросить в себя несчастье собственными.
Only a few can cast away afflictions with their own efforts.
Люди в понимании закона, построения.
For most people are blind to the law of the formation of their destinies.
Словно колеса они катятся с гор.
Like wheels, they roll downhill,
Бремя своих прежних причинений вреда.
carrying the burden of their past misdeeds toward others.
Что незримо правит их судьбами до самого.
The burden which controls their destinies until death comes.
Вместо того, чтобы искать ссору, где только возможно,
Instead of seeking occasions for a quarrel, people should avoid it, conceding to each other without arguing.
Но все же не следует оставлять надежду на спасение людей из этого мрака.
But we should not abandon hope of saving people
Каждый человек имеет
from the darkness of ignorance. For every human has a divine
так
root.
излечи душу.
Heal
Открой
the soul.
тебе путь к освобождению.
This will reveal to you the way to liberation.
И воздержись от питания плотью.
And abstain from eating flesh.
Природе твоей
This is contrary to your nature
и очищении твоем.
and will prevent you from purifying yourself.
Итак, если хочешь избавиться ты от пут земного, то руководствуйся
So if you want to become free from the earthly fetters, follow this understanding given to you from above. Let it control your destiny.
И после того, как преобразишь ты полностью душу,
And after you transform the soul completely,
ты Богом бессмертным,
you can defeat death and become an immortal God.
раздавив стопою. Стать Богом бессмертным — это значит влиться
To become an immortal God
времени и протяженности,
means to infuse into the infinite and eternal Creator.
влиться в него.
To infuse into the immortal Creator means to achieve personal immortality.
Ну а теперь я расскажу о том, что
Now let me read some excerpts from our conversations with Pythagoras.
Мы спросили: Пифагор, расскажи, пожалуйста, о себе, о том,
Pythagoras, tell us please about yourself. How did you receive initiations? How did you teach?
Геометрия Пифагора
He answered,
это не только теорема о
The geometry of Pythagoras is more than just a theorem about the right triangle studied in school.
о многомерности нашей
It
планеты.
includes also the science about the multidimensionality of our planet, the multidimensionality of the
Сами
universe.
понятия геометрических точек, линий, плоскостей
The very concept of geometrical points, lines, planes, and the
это есть
infinity
один
of
из
space
способов говорить о Боге,
is one of the ways to
о
talk
Его
about God,
многомерности в абсолюте.
about His multidimensionality in the
И
absolute.
я использовал все это в обучении.
I used all of these concepts in
А
teaching.
пирамида — это символ Творца,
The pyramid is a symbol of the Creator,
творение,
pervading the
в
creation
качестве,
in His initial quality,
тонкости.
initial subtlety.
Вершина той пирамиды меньше атома.
The top of this pyramid is smaller than an atom, for it is a geometrical point.
А основание — сама
The base of this pyramid is the infinity itself.
Я долго тогда обдумывал, как души вести к
For a long time, I pondered on how to lead souls to knowing the true essence of man,
к любви
to knowing the whole,
природы,
to lead them to love,
матери
to the knowledge of nature, and of Mother Earth,
огонь божественный,
and how to show them the divine fire,
свет мудрости пролить.
and to illuminate them with the light of wisdom.
И все невоплощенные мои учителя мне
All my
помогали
non-incarnate teachers helped me to create that
учением
which was later called the teachings of Pythagoras.
Я очень строго отделил ступени,
I subdivided the
слабый
teachings
человеческий рассудок,
into a number of stages,
неодолимой ношей.
so that minds which are weak do not get overburdened.
Любовь
I made rectitude,
и
love,
красоту. Я заложил в
and
основу
beauty,
ступени первой,
the basis of the first
тишиной
stage,
души, ее
and called it quietness of soul.
лишь успокоив ум и овладев умением
Only after quieting the mind,
свойства
mastering the ability to suppress wicked qualities in
себя
oneself,
преображать как душу и
transforming oneself as a soul, and growing love and wisdom
тогда
in
лишь может
oneself.
быть допущен кандидат в число
Only after that
достойных учеников.
could an aspirant be accepted as a student.
Я сделал традицию духовных посвящений
I transformed the tradition of spiritual initiations into a science, the science about soul
в этом
development.
работы ваши наследует и
In this
продолжает
regard,
дело
your activity inherits
на земле,
and continues the work
осуществляет.
that I performed on the earth at that time.
Мудрость есть знание духовное, а
Wisdom is the spiritual knowledge about the highest.
в том знании, что только упражняет ум.
There is not much value in knowledge which just trains the mind and memory.
Подобно играм в мяч для тренировки
It
тела.
is like a game with a ball for training the body.
Но тогда лишь знания ценны,
Only that knowledge is valuable,
и познанию истины,
which leads one to cognition of the truth
законов жизни целого.
and to the laws of the life of the whole.
Без динамики духовного преображения
The knowledge is useless if there is no spiritual transformation.
без нравственности они
The
опасны.
knowledge is dangerous if there is no rectitude.
Я, Пифагор, вновь открываю свою школу на земле.
I, Pythagoras, open again my school on the
С
earth.
помощью, мои друзья,
Here and now, with your help, my friends, this
хотел бы
work
я
has
привлечь
begun.
внимание молодежи к законам
I want to
бытия
draw the attention of youth to the laws of existence
и красоту земли восславить.
and to the meaning of life.
Хотел бы нравы доброты и любви сделать основой жизни для
I want to make love and goodness the basis of human life,
и в мир божественных любви, покоя,
I want to open wide the door
блаженства.
to the world of divine love,
Раскрыть настежь дверь
calm,
для тех, кто
and bliss.
стремятся сильно.
for all yearning souls.
Гармонию между развитием любви
The harmony between the development of love,
я
wisdom,
бы
and power,
назвал золотым законом
this I would call the golden law
взращивания душ.
in the art of raising souls.
В том последнем воплощении я был уже душой,
In that last incarnation, I was a soul that already had an experience of cognition of God in many past lives.
то воплощение имело главной целью
The main purpose of that incarnation
о Боге
was to re-establish the truth about God
на земле.
for many generations of people on the earth.
Можно сказать, что я был последним из тех, кто посвящение
One can say that I was the last one of those
по тем же традициям,
who received an
которые
initiation
свое
in
начало
Egypt
от Тота Атланты
in the traditions which had originated from Thoth the Atlantean,
уже исказились сильно в череде веков.
but had been perverted with time.
Ведь без божественной любви сила
But
мертва.
without divine love, power is dead.
Лишь преопрошенная любовью душа
Only a soul transformed by love can become wise.
только сердце духовное
Only the spiritual heart
способно
is capable of completely walking the entire path of cognition of the Creator
не оступившись,
without stumbling,
влиться в божественную суть,
and of merging into the divine
управляет
essence
мирозданием.
which controls the universe.
Светоприкосновения жрецы те уже не ведали.
But the light was not known to the
Потому что
priests.
последние мне открыли,
Therefore, this last step was revealed to me by divine souls
меня встречали.
who met me in that light.
Законы жизни душ и в суть божественную и вечную
They initiated me into the laws of soul's life and into the divine essence.
божественная справедливость не такова, какой люди в большинстве
The divine justice
себе
is
воображают.
not like people imagine it.
В жизнь человека приходит то, что должно.
Nothing wrong comes to the
То,
lives of
что он
people,
сам привлек к себе своими мыслями
but only that which must come, what they have attracted by their own thoughts and past deeds.
Бог законом тем создатель.
God is the creator
И
of these
не может
laws,
на долю человека выпасть беда, которую он
and no affliction can fall unjustly
и
upon
не
man.
может счастье быть незаслуженным, ненужным.
There can be no undeserved or unneeded joy.
Видят его в других только гордыня, жалость к себе,
Only self-conceit,
привязанность собственной
self-pity,
вещам и людям, а также
and
зависть.
envy see it so in others.
Справедливость Бога велика.
The justice of God is great.
Тот плод, что взращивал и сеял.
Everyone receives and partakes of the fruit which they themselves sowed and grew. The result can be bitter, but one can develop in oneself other qualities to make the fruit sweet and beautiful.
Следует учиться чистоте мышления.
Learn the purity of thinking.
Только когда твой ум молчит и внимает,
Only when your mind is silent and
а
listens,
сердце преисполнено любви,
and your heart is full of love,
Бог говорит с тобой.
only then God talks
Мы
with you.
спросили,
We
скажи,
asked,
пожалуйста, использовались ли в твоей школе техники,
tell us, please,
подобные асанам
did your school
практики
use techniques
для
similar to Hatha
приведения
Yoga
порядка
asanas
энергетики тела?
for purifying the energies of the
Он
body?
отвечал, сам я был знаком с подобными приемами,
I was
они
familiar with such
использовались в том
methods.
числе в Египте.
They were used in Egypt in
Но я не
particular,
использовал сие в созданной мною школе.
but I did not use them in my school
Подобное
because they attract the attention of students
более,
to the body more than to the soul.
начальными у нас были другие
The initial stages of learning in the school were purification and preparation.
мировознание о нравственности и
When the soul acquired knowledge about rectitude and purity,
гармонии целого,
about the harmony of the whole,
бытия души,
and the meaning of the soul's life in the
о том, что
body,
человек — суть душа,
the knowledge that man is a soul,
лишь ее покров и временные.
and the body is but the soul's temporary dwelling.
Обучение душе добру,
Teaching students kindness,
покою,
love,
нравственному стою.
calm,
Таков был
and rectitude.
подготовляющий этап к тому,
This was a preparatory stage
Раджа-йоги.
before the next stage of Raja Yoga, as you call it.
Способствовал и гармоничный образ
Our harmonious way of life
на просторе
also contributed to this. Life at the expanse of the seashore, in a pleasant climate,
жаре и холоде,
with moderate heat and cold,
питании.
with good nutrition. The students of the school use gentle gymnastic exercises for their bodies and swimming in the sea. The stage of work with the energies of the body began when the soul love grew in size larger than the body. Thanks in particular to life at the seashore and to harmony of the sea expanse. Always the first step in mastering every new stage was done by the soul, and the body followed it by attuning to the new state of the soul. In this way, the body would become purified. Any problem of the body went away when the corresponding problem or vice of the soul disappeared on the causal plane. The soul love, much larger than the body, attuned the body like an instrument, which has 7 chakras and the strings of meridians, so that it could sound in harmony with the universe. This instrument allows the human soul to create the great music of life and harmony. At this stage, we paid much attention to music and dance, which can imprint and convey to people elevated states of the soul. Students in our school usually performed meditations while walking slowly. The stage of Buddhi Yoga began when the soul could naturally live as a Mahadouble. Speaking in your terms, I did not have many disciples ready for this work, but those who had mastered this stage continued then the work of the school. They supported the spirit of the Pythagorean Brotherhood in branches of the school created by them throughout the Mediterranean region for more than 500 years. They are all willing to help you now with spreading and introducing your knowledge, our common knowledge. I never tried to master dematerialization of the body. I never had such a goal. Immortality of the soul in unity with the highest divine consciousness. This was the task that I set for myself and for my disciples. Let me explain. God is immortal. And in that sense, we too become immortal when we merge with God forever. Yet there is another form of immortality. It implies creation of an immortal physical body. This is very difficult to achieve, but from history we know of some masters who managed to achieve this. If the soul manages to realize this task and lives in this state, serving the Creator and people, then the material body becomes divine, thanks to the divine status of the soul. After fire destroyed the building of the school, I had to support my disciples who escaped persecutions but were dejected because of my death, and I easily created a material body and appeared before them. This gave origin to the legends that Pythagoras escaped death. Creating a body was necessary to support the disciples who had to continue my work and bring higher knowledge to people. To help them develop successfully on the earth. This is the end of the excerpts from our conversations with Pythagoras. Now let us listen to the stories of his divine disciples. Let us begin with the story of Constantinos. I was a disciple of Pythagoras. There was once a Greek town on this place, and there was my school. I created it at the request of my teacher. I tried to keep all the traditions and principles of his school. Our selection of aspirants was just as strict as his. There was a certain trial period with lectures, which helped the initial ethical transformation of those who wanted to join the Pythagorean Brotherhood in accordance with its highest moral norms. Only then could the aspirants be accepted as students. One of the most important points of the initial stage of learning was to master Hesychia. One had to learn to stay in inner quietness, not for minutes or hours, but for days and weeks, until this state became a quality of the soul. Contemplation of the sea expanse and the measured sound of waves help the students to stop the mind, to become submerged into inner quietness. The students began to live in the space of quietness. In this state, one feels that the body is but a tiny grain in comparison with the expanse of the sea, and the life of man is but a moment in comparison with the eternity of the rocks and sea. The literary works of Pythagoras and his disciples helped the students at the first stages by giving to the mind formulas for submersion into inner quietness. Your personality is like a grain on the bottom of the ocean. But any tiny part can become aware of its unity with the whole. Thus we can approach the truth.
Затем в этом покое ученик учился слушать
Then, in the state of calm,
учителям воплощенным,
the students learned to listen to their incarnate teachers and then to non-incarnate ones. Thus, the students gain the ability to listen and to perceive information not only with the mind of the body, but with the whole consciousness. And of course, from the beginning of learning, the students were taught the art of working with the energy structures of the body, to cleanse them, to move the concentration of the consciousness between different chakras and meridians. The students learn to place the concentration of the consciousness into concrete energy structures and to achieve the beauty of the sounding of one's self-consciousness in harmony with the whole, feeling and radiating the states of love, calm, joy, strength, confidence, tenderness, etc. As a result, the students developed the ability of controlling the body as a musical instrument, which can sound in harmony with the divine subtlety and purity. Then, judging from the results of learning on this stage, we selected a few students for the higher stages, the stages of Buddhi Yoga. It was the stage of meditative work from one's own Mahadouble. Let me explain. One can meditate from the body or from one's own Mahadouble. That is, meditation can begin from the non-corporeal state, with the body remaining in a good, healthy condition. The size of one's Mahadouble can be several tens of meters or many kilometers, or even infinite. This determines also the power of our meditations. The larger the consciousnesses we become, the more effective we can act in developing ourselves and in helping others. Of course, we should become large and strong only in subtle states. Close to the subtlety of the Holy Spirit or the Creator. If one becomes a large but coarse consciousness, then one cripples oneself, cripples one's own destiny, because such a person will unavoidably continue afterlife existence in hell. And having incarnated again, he or she will live in very bad conditions. And by such states, one can bring nothing but harm to others. Let me continue reading. As for the others, we created for them the best conditions for developing the consciousness's abilities to think and to show creativity through various forms of service, through the development of thinking skills by means of studying mathematics, logic, architecture, rhetorical art, etc. After all, it is creativity that is the best way of developing the ability of the consciousness to think. On the higher stages of work, our meditations were similar to those you perform. Of course, they were called differently, but similar to yours in essence. This is the end of the story of Konstantinos. Now let us listen to the story of Pythagoras' divine disciple, Larissa. By the way, the name Larissa means gull. We asked, "Tell us please about yourself, Larissa." Let me tell you about Konstantinos, what I know about him. Konstantinos was one of those disciples of Pythagoras who, before the destruction of his school in Croton, went to different towns at the request of the teacher to found there branches of the school which could become sources of truth and wisdom for a large number of people. Konstantinos began here, on this new place, the work done by Pythagoras. He kindled here a new fire of love by telling people about the wisdom of the Creator of the universe, about the life of the whole, about Pythagoras. I should explain what the whole means. The whole is the Absolute. In contrast to God the Father, the Absolute is the Creator together with His creation. Therefore, the Creator and the creation can be regarded as one whole. God spoke about this many times in the Bhagavad Gita and in other sources. And now God speaks about mergence, not with the Creator only, but about mergence with the Absolute. This can be regarded as an even fuller form of mergence with God. Many people came to listen to Konstantinos and asked him questions. Those who came not only out of vain curiosity remained with him. I was among his first disciples. I listened to him with the open eyes of the soul, and great love arose in my heart, love for him and for everything that he manifested with himself, for the knowledge which he shared. Also, the meaning of human life became clear to me. Konstantinos asked those living in wealth to contribute to the foundation of the school, anything they could. I was ready to give everything I had. Thus, my house on the seashore became the first building of the school. Many of the noble citizens gave gold and men for construction. One of Konstantinos' conditions was that any slave who wanted to work on the construction and was sent for this work by his master had to be released from slavery and had to receive the status of a free citizen. And people gave their slaves and valuables, and the school grew. The school had, in particular, classes for education of children. It was quite unusual, and this made the school desirable to local nobility. This also ensured the support of the authorities. Once per week, Konstantinos delivered public lectures for everyone interested. Many people came even from faraway lands, sailing over the sea. They were those who wanted to know about the teachings of great Pythagoras. Konstantinos and we, his disciples, spent every morning in meditation, then had breakfast and began to work on constructing the buildings of the school. The harmony of life, which was the basis of the school, made our life and work so elevated and wonderful that people who remained in the school did not seek a better lot and a better destiny. With time, the lectures of Konstantinos were supplemented with the performances of some disciples who developed capabilities of the soul which could be expressed in music, dance, and recitals. This attracted even more people. The school grew and developed. Larissa, tell us please a little about yourself. It was easy to learn when you were burning with love for Him who manifests God on the earth. The soul burning with such love grows and develops very easily. With the help of the meditative methods taught by Konstantinos, the spiritual hearts of the disciples grew and expanded. We learned to flood with the spiritual heart over the expanse of the sea. The fire of cordial love grew larger and embraced all lives, all the beautiful. Shining with love, the souls approached the threshold of the divine. We learned also to control our emotions, to live always in the state of love. Then we learned to be a flow of light, similar to solar wind, streaming over the expanse of the sea and blowing the sails of the souls. Then we dissolved ourselves so that every drop of my self-light merged with the light of those divine consciousnesses which you call the Holy Spirit or Brahman. And one could disappear in mergence with them and exist only as light. In this united light, we could feel ourselves giant, living, and free from the body. I learned to be a soul light, with a real face,
глазами улыбающимися, с глазами,
with smiling lips,
льющими любовь и свет,
with eyes radiating love and
с
light,
руками нежными, лелеющими все.
with gentle hands caressing everything.
И кончиками пальцев я могла касаться
With the tips of my fingers,
тел воплощенных, чтобы
I could touch bodies of incarnate people, to heal them, to caress them.
и сердцем пламенным я устремлялась
With my fiery
к
heart,
Творцу всего
I aspired to the Creator of
и
everything
училась жить Его живым
and learned to live with His living fire of love.
Константинос, Пифагор и Адлер
Constantinos, Pythagoras, and Adler guided me,
из вечного
and now I, together with them, from the eternal oneness,
ныне в творение огонь
shine at the creation with the light of divine love.
Ну, кстати, можно сейчас Лариса ощущать здесь
By the way, you may feel Larissa here now,
огромное тело сознания, исходящее из обители Творца.
She is a giant body of consciousness
Попробуем ощутить ее божественные руки.
coming out from the abode of the Creator. Let's try to feel her divine hands of love and the radiance emanating from her eyes.
Еще могу добавить, продолжала Лариса, что я
I
тогда
may
стала
add
женой Константиноса.
that I became the wife of
Вы
Constantinos.
спросили, скажи, пожалуйста, а как ты и Константинос закончили
Tell us, please,
ваши...
how did you and Constantinos end these earthly incarnations of yours?
Она ответила, и Константинос, и я
Both Constantinos and I
мною в себе,
dissolved everything earthly in
включая
ourselves,
материальные тела, полностью.
including our material bodies, fully, completely.
Полная свобода достигается лишь непреклонной
One
работой
achieves
по
full
преображению
freedom
себя
only
как
thanks to
душу.
unceasing work on transformation of oneself as a soul.
Урок
In usual
кармы
conditions,
приходится
one learns the
освоить
lessons of
в
karma
телесных воплощениях,
in many corporeal
где
incarnations,
через боль и испытания
where, by going through pain and trials,
преображается душа.
the soul ripens and transforms,
Сей опыт медленно, болезненно.
acquiring this experience slowly, painfully, and with
Но
difficulty.
медитативная работа, правильно организованная и
But meditative
соединенная
work,
с этическим
if organized
самосознанием,
correctly and combined with ethical self-correction,
позволяет проходить этот преображающий этап
allows one to go through this
намного
transformational stage of growth
гармоничнее.
much more harmoniously
Вот потому
and
как
quickly.
и учили Пифагор,
This was taught by Pythagoras
Константинос,
and
всему
Constantinos.
этому нас комплексно. И этика
They taught us
в её
ethics
полноте.
in all its fullness,
И превращение себя в любовь,
the transformation of ourselves into love,
и медитативные техники по
and the meditative techniques of development of ourselves as consciousnesses up to the divinity.
и все истинные эзотерические школы души
And all true esoteric schools of
основываются
soul
на этих же принципах.
are based on the same
Ведь
principles,
никакие медитативные техники, даже блестяще
but no
освоенные,
meditative
не
techniques,
позволяют
even well
душе
mastered,
влиться в океан
can
Творца,
allow the soul to infuse into the ocean of the Creator if there remain states of the consciousness
Ему.
not identical to Him.
Пока не изжиты все такие тени прошлого,
Until one gets
то
rid
есть
of these shadows of the
небожественные
past,
качества и состояния,
that is, of non-divine
душа
qualities
не
and
может
states,
войти в окончательное слияние.
the soul cannot achieve the final emergence. In particular, there can be some qualities of the soul which have been useful for its growth, but have to be discarded now, when the stage of human life has to be replaced with the stage of the divine life. After all, the ocean lets into its depths only those who are co-essential to it. One has to create schools on the earth according to the principles established by Pythagoras. And the principles of living in harmony with the whole are very simple. Cordial love, calmness of the mind, and inner quietness, benevolence towards everyone, and doing good to all the living, in deeds, emotions, and thoughts. Gratitude to the Creator for all His lessons. The one who manages to keep to these principles in life advances significantly to that quality which God wants to see in all people.
Вот это мы заканчиваем рассказ о том, что нам говорила Лариса.
This is the end of the story of Larissa.
Учениками Пифагора были также столь известные
Some well-known people, such as the Russian poet
иллюзии, как
Nikolai Nekrasov and architect Karl Rossi, were also disciples of Pythagoras.
А сейчас я приведу слова о Пифагоре.
Now I will give you some excerpts from our conversations with Nikolai Nekrasov.
Я достиг не последнего.
I attained divinity not in the last incarnation known to you, but in the previous one.
Пифагорейской школы
I was a follower of the Pythagorean school
Пифагора и
and learned from the disciples of Pythagoras and
в
Socrates.
школе тоже знали о многомерности Вселенной.
In that school, they knew also about the multidimensionality of the universe, about how one can cognize the Creator, enter into Him forever, and become a part of Him.
Спросили, осознавал ли ты свою
We
божественность
asked,
в последнем воплощении?
were you aware of your divinity in the last
Он
incarnation?
ответил, нет. И эта моя жизнь во многом
No, that life of mine in many aspects was not like a life of an avatar.
так спланировано Богом, чтобы не
It was
подавать
designed so by God,
врачам.
so as not to tempt persecutors.
Мало кто в последующие тысячелетия понял и оценил по достоинству ту
Only a
традицию
few people in the next millennia understood the Pythagorean tradition
той школы.
and recognized the greatness of that school.
Пифагора ведь было воплощением Бога.
The incarnation of Pythagoras was an incarnation of God.
Было бы весьма интересно и
We asked,
полезно узнать
for us and for our readers, for sure, it would be interesting and useful to learn more about your penultimate incarnation and about your apprenticeship with the Pythagoreans.
Я жил тогда
He
в
answered,
районе Средиземного моря.
I lived then in the region of the Mediterranean Sea.
Из знатного
I was a Roman citizen from a noble aristocratic family.
Средиземному морю с дипломатическими миссиями.
I sailed a lot over the sea with diplomatic missions.
Море — это прекрасно. Ранним
The sea is wonderful.
когда из-за горизонта встает
In the early morning, when the giant disk of the sun rises from the horizon
пространство вокруг заполняется
and the entire space gets suffused
грешным светом.
with goldish, gentle light,
Душа замирает в благоговении перед
the soul becomes enchanted by the greatness of the Creator. In such moments, one can very easily expand with the consciousness over the sea, open the arms of the consciousness, feel the joy of freedom, and blend with the sunlight, with the wind, and feel oneself as a giant free bird soaring over the boundless waters. I was an educated man thirsting for new knowledge. I heard a lot about Pythagoras, about his teachings, and dreamed of finding his followers, who continued his work. I knew that his disciples, who remained after the carnage, went to all corners of the Mediterranean region and founded Pythagorean societies. I was lucky to become a member of one of them. In this society, they taught the laws of the higher justice expounded by Pythagoras. They also observed the principle of the multi-stage giving of the higher esoteric knowledge, according to the student's level of development. What were the meditative methods used in that school for cognition of the Creator? On the higher stages, they gave knowledge about the multidimensional structure of the universe. And the students, with the consciousness developed as a spiritual heart, learn to move using the arms of the consciousness through all the strata of the multidimensional space, from the densest ones to the subtlest ones. In that way, the students cognize the abode of the Creator and mastered it and accustomed themselves to live in it. Emergence with the Creator. We had incarnate tutors, but Pythagoras and his closest disciples were for us quite real, non-incarnate divine teachers. They directed our spiritual advancement. In the tradition of the Pythagoreans, the theme of the transformation of the society's life was the most important one. To me, the most important thing in my life was cognition of the Creator. Though I attained mergence with the Creator, I had not managed in that incarnation to turn the look of the soul from Him to incarnate people. This became the task of my life in Russia. I had to develop in myself divine love for people. In Russia, my civil activity as a publicist and a poet was aimed at changing the moral norms of the society by drawing its attention to the awful life of common people. I tried to raise compassion for common people among those who had authority. This became my service to Him. I lived by the spiritual heart, and it bled watching everything that was taking place in Russia. Arbitrariness of officials, ruthless attitude of landlords towards serfs, darkness and ignorance everywhere around. I loved the earth, loved people, and loved the great tenderness and harmony of nature. and I learned to love people not abstractly, but by fighting for them.
Наш вопрос. Какие советы ты хотел бы дать нам и всем идущим к Творцу?
What would you advise us and everyone who goes to the Creator?
Первое, для начинающих свой путь, это научиться
The first thing to do when one enters on the path is to learn to live by the spiritual heart, which is open toward people and toward all the living, and radiates love.
нести людям истинные знания.
The second thing is to bring to people the true knowledge, the pure teachings about God.
Воспитывать свободных граждан общества
One has to raise free citizens
знаний о Боге.
with the help of the true knowledge about God.
Только это позволит создать нравственное
Only this will allow creating a moral structure of the society
эволюции всех людей.
auspicious for the spiritual evolution of all people.
Почему в России все в целом за последние века
Why did in Russia during the last centuries everything develop so badly,
ярких выдающихся личностей?
despite the fact that there were many bright, outstanding personalities who tried to instill in the society the ideas of love and good?
Бог сеет свои семена.
Yes, God sows through such
Но
people
ведь
His
остальные
seeds.
члены общества сами решают,
But other members of the society decide themselves what they want to do with these ideas. This constitutes their freedom of choice.
цель Бога ведь вовсе не в том, чтобы любыми средствами сделать
The purpose of God is not to make the life of people safe and happy by all means.
Бог помогает каждому, постоянно
God helps
подсказывая
everyone
тем или иным
by
способом,
constantly suggesting right decisions to them.
но Он также дает человеку возможность самому выбирать свой путь,
But He also gives them the possibility
как тот сам
to choose their
желает.
path and to grow as they want.
Ведь лишь при таких условиях для человека возможно настоящее
Only in such
свобода
conditions
творчества.
can one have the true freedom of creativity.
Тогда он может расти как творец,
That is, when one can grow as a creator
хоть самого себя.
of oneself to start with.
Работа вашей школы должна будет развиваться по уже известному
And the
пути.
work of your
Он
school
хочет, чтобы
has to
на
develop according to the known principle. God wants a new spiritual hearth to grow on the earth, a hearth similar to Pythagoras' school.
чтобы политики и
He
ученые
wants in particular that politicians and scientists of different countries
знания через вас.
receive confidential knowledge through
Этот
you.
процесс займет не года, а десятилетия.
Yet this process will not take years, but decades.
Ну, до следующей встречи.
See you next time. Author and director of the film, Vladimir Antonov. Narrated in English by Keenan Murphy.